biker gains back. All right, so we set who the user is based on if it's the player's turn. If it's the player's turn, then the user is you. Otherwise, it's the computer. New message is going to be whoever the user is took the number of pennies or penny. And then if the pennies can be taken, right, that's what this says. If the pennies is greater than or equal to the number, then they can be taken. Otherwise, there's not enough pennies and you're an imbecile. Yes. If they can be taken, then we take them and also set the message. But we check to see if it's the player's turn, then we just use the new message. If it's the computer's turn, then we take the old message, which is being passed back to us, and apply the new message to it. So we take both. And that way we'll have both messages at the same time. And then we'll need to change the person's turn. So we'll set is player turn, and this is one that we're just going to toggle back and forth. So what we'll say is turn and then not turn. So we just change it to the opposite of whatever it was. Does that make sense? That way, if it was our turn, then now it's the computer's turn. If it's the computer's turn, now it's our turn.
That's because it's true, right? The player turn.
True means it's the player. Yeah, because it's a Boolean.
Yeah.
Then it can just go true, false.
Yeah.
So
if not true, being is player.
not true is false. So this will just change true to false and false to true. We'll just hop it back and forth. You ready?
No.
Okay.
I got all twisted.
Future Travis is going to be super upset with you.
Yes, he will be, my friend.
You know he lived in an office space one time.
Yes, he did. And he really enjoyed his time there. Rent was $286 living there.
A day?
A month.
$286?
Living in that commercial space down in Kapal, yes.
I want to
Because
work out of
back-
that
Yeah, because back in
space.
the day, and that was 3 years. Then I went to another space, which was $700, but that's still cheap. So I went from space to space.
This one's like 500.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah,
I just can't-
It saves you money. You just can't
Yeah.
live there.
Can't afford to pay that and my mortgage though.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could live like that. You know, I can't do that anymore. Can't see me living in an office, commercial space with a family of 6. You know.
You could probably pull it off.
I can pull it off. Maybe I could. There was a man living in a building that's plantation building, which is right by First Hawaiian Bank on Rice Street. Yeah, he was living there with his 2 sons because he got put out of his place. So, but it used to freak me out because I was there at 2 o'clock in the morning working, and then the lights just turned off by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, bruh, I just watched Silent Hill. I don't want to stop. So yeah, they would come and turn the lights on so that when they walked to the bathroom, nobody could see them.
Mm-hmm.
But you're freaking me out, man. It took me a while to realize somebody else is in the building. Okay. Okay. I don't know if I have everything, but if I don't, then I'll do else.
I'm playing both me and the computer.
Yep. It'll work that way at first. We'll fix that. Yeah, when you play, if the computer takes one of your, or you're taking their turn, then that's good right now.
I mean, just tap water.
Yeah, just drink the tap. It tastes like crack.
Hey, but there is a dishwasher though, just in case you're wondering.
So,
I don't know if you,
There's a
I
dishwasher.
don't know if you know that, but
if you guys
I
can
loaded it today
make sure.
because people left a bunch of copies.
Yeah, I was wondering who did it. That was.
But
I got
it was
this.
clean. But I'm like, I don't fucking care. I don't want to get yelled at again. Get all the dirty stuff.
so it was clean, and then you filled it up with more dirty things.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So you're going to get in trouble for that.
That's how it was yesterday. And that's why nobody puts shit in the dishwasher. And you got yelled at, so I'm like,
Yeah, no, exactly, right.
all right, you're welcome. Not again.
Maybe she's seen me on my camera.
You know,
Almost put the dirty ones in there, and I was like, I'm not gonna put all the clean ones away. And then I put it right back in there.
there's cupboards for the clean stuff too.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do that.
That's
That's
just
the
give
way.
us
I need to get paid in order to do that.
We'll put the dishes away if they'll lower the rent back down.
Yeah,
There
right.
you go.
I wouldn't mind doing a chore every once a week or something like
But
that.
it's not like.
Yeah,
it's not like
everybody else.
I don't know what happened. Oh, I fixed it. Don't worry.
I'm not trying to be very
I don't know.
because they don't want to be working.
All right, we good?
Yeah.
You good? Okay.
Finally.
All right. So now we're gonna make it so the computer does things. Okay. So I refresh this. We're gonna use a use effect. Okay. Okay, this is the skeleton of a use effect. If your use effect has a red underlining thing, then you need to go up here and import it next to use state. So that if you hit tab when it popped up and said, do you want to import this from React? Then you're good. We're going to move this thing that I wrote and commented out here. Okay, and then we're going to say if, oh actually, yeah, if player, or
Nice.
if not players is player turn, then it's the computer's turn. And then we're gonna say counts num, and then we're gonna say take pennies num. And then you'll notice there's a little orange or yellow highlight thing down here, squigglies, and it says, is player turn and take pennies are both missing dependencies of this dependency array. Okay, so has everybody read about use effects yet? Some yes, some no. Most have no idea if they did or not.
What article is it in?
No idea.
Wow.
And I think it was like the last one.
The last one, I think, actually.
Huh.
Two of them.
Well, if it was the last one, being HTTP React.
And by the last one, I mean the last one that Kamalani read.
uh,
The last one before the second part of
That one.
Before part 2 of the exercise.
Yes.
Yes.
So HTTP and React?
Yes.
No, I did not read that.
Me either.
Ah,
So, but that's where it was at, though.
guess so.
Definitely there.
Yep.
So, use effect is a function that we give it a function, and it takes two things. One's a function, and the other one is a dependency array. The function you give it will run anytime any of the dependencies in the dependency array change. Okay, so the first dependency we're going to give it is the isPlayerTurn. Okay, so now anytime isPlayerTurn changes, it'll run our function. But if isPlayerTurn doesn't change, then our function will never run, except for the very first time it renders. Okay,
What changes?
we're changing it right here.
Okay.
Okay. So, and then it also says it needs to know if take pennies changed. Okay, take pennies is a function. It's most likely not going to change, but because we're creating this function within the app function, this will actually change every time the app renders because it will recreate the function over and over and over. Does that make sense? Because it's created inside of app, so it's created when app runs. So watch what happens when we put take penny in there. Now this gets highlighted, and that's because it says this is telling a use effect hook that it needs to run every time it changes, and because it will change every time, that use effect will run continuously. Okay, which turns it into a runaway effect, and it can put it in a infinite loop if it's, if you're doing things inside the use effect that will just keep looping and running. Okay, so it says you should maybe think about wrapping it in a use callback, okay, which is another hook that React offers us. So up here, we're going to set take pennies equal to use callback, which is also out of React. Okay, and that is a function that takes a function. So we'll wrap the whole function. So I put use callback opening paren, and then at the end of our function down here, I put another paren. And before the closing paren, we're going to add another dependency array. And this dependency array cares about isPlayerTurn and something else, and pennies. Okay, so take pennies will only now update if those two variables change. And that way our use effect won't run all the time, and we've memoized essentially the function itself, so the function won't sit and get rewritten all the time too.
Is that the whole point of use effect, is to minimize the...
Use effect is to run some function whenever something within our component changes.
Okay.
So that way we don't have to care if it's the computer's turn or not. The use effect cares, right? So in the old one, let's look at the old code. The take function would run, and then at the end of the take function, it would say, okay, now run the computer turn. And then when the computer turn ran, it would come back and they always had to display pennies too. So all these calls to display pennies is rendering the pennies. So we don't have to do any of that in React because it handles it all for us. But the use effect is the part that's saying it should be the computer's turn, right? But now we don't have to have two separate functions to control the same thing. Notice all of this, well, I guess this one the computer won't do, but these are the same lines of code as these. Just one's for the computer and one's for the user. And in ours, we have all of this for just both of us, right? So remember dry, don't repeat yourself. This makes us be able to have this be dry because we can say if it's the computer's turn, then figure out a number and take pennies for the computer. Okay, and we'll go back over here and take a bunch of this too, and I'll probably just paste it in. This part doesn't really matter, it's just if else's. So I don't want everybody to have to type that. Okay, so now if we play, it should take a random amount and you should be able to probably win. One, two, three, four, five. Ah, the computer tried to take more than it was able to, and it called me an imbecile. So we'll have to fix that, but
I lost.
Keep trying to flip the pennies.
okay, so that the penny or the computer doesn't take too many pennies, I think we do want to just grab like these two ifs.
Wait. The computer made it so there's 5.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
No. Because that's, you want the computer to pick from that point.
Yep,
So you want to make it so that there are 5.
correct.
Shit.
I'm gonna paste this into Slack so you don't have to type it.
And like it doesn't come here.
Program that in there.
Alright, so the inside of your if statement should be what I just pasted in.
It's going in Slack.
Something weird.
It was me.
It was AJ.
Was.
AJ.
I waved.
Yeah, I guess it's, yeah.
Oh, I have to use that.
I think that one,
What is that array called?
What array?
Disclosure array at the end?
Dependency. Dependency array. Yeah, so paste what I put in Slack into your if statement, and then add pennies here, and that's all we changed. And then it should work more or better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. Should have taken just one. So maybe not more better. Yeah.
I can't get my post to work anymore. Two cents for right now, so take
I'll have to look and see what the while true. Hmm. So I'll have to fix that because it's trying to take more than it should.
Can't connect to my host.
Are you running it?
I should be. Oh, you mean at the terminal?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's what
There, go terminal and npm start.
Yeah, yeah,
If pennies is greater than 5 and less than 9, the number equals pennies minus 5. And then else if num equals pennies minus 1 if it's between 1 and 5. What
Yeah.
is that doing?
That's how many pennies it's gonna take.
Oh, it's gonna take 5, it's gonna take 1.
Well, so if it's greater than 5 and less than 9,
Yeah.
it'll take whatever the number is. So let's say it's 8 minus 5 is 3.
Right.
So it'll take 3 pennies if it's at 8. If it's greater, or if it's 6, it'll only take 1, right? Once it gets to 5, then it'll do a random amount, I think, because it never takes a penny here if it's equal to 5.
So it's only taking 1 away if it's between 1 and 5.
Yeah, if it's 2, 3, or 4, it'll only take 1.
And we'll take 5 if it's any more.
No, it'll take 1, 2, or 3 if it's between 5 and 9,
Okay.
because it's 6, 7, or 8 minus 5, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So otherwise, it just takes a random amount. So if it is 5, it'll take a random amount. If it is 9, it'll take a random amount. Yeah. If it's 1, it'll take a random amount, which is bad. We need to fix that. Because if it's 1, it just takes it. So,
So just another else.
or we just change this to this. Actually, 1 minus 1 would equal 0, so that won't work.
So greater than or equal to 2. Which is
Yeah.
I hate math.
Yeah, I think we would just do an else if it's equal to 1, then take 1. And then do the else. So, so then what we need to do is up here we need to change the message for if you take the last penny. And then this will be an else if. Right? I just messed it up. This should be loose. Oh, and then we also need to. Computer's still taking too many pennies.
Mine bored.
The bar.
Bored. It's all broken. Broken.
Broke it.
Yeah.
I'll have to look at that.
I'm just lost in all numbers. Lost. Okay.
Should also play or add another button. We'll do that in a second for when the game is over.
Could I see the use effect?
Uh-huh.
I'm supposed to take out this math statement, yeah, math form. Is that wrong? I'm supposed to take that out?
No, that's in the else.
Oh, okay.
There should just be an else.
And then else if?
After the else if, there should be another else
Oh, okay.
that wraps that one.
That's a there are not that pennies, that many pennies when I took the last.
With parentheses, oh no, just,
You can throw curlies around it.
oh, okay.
What's that curly for?
Yeah, no, the one here.
Yeah.
Is it supposed to be a pennies or later and
Where's it match up to?
It must have been before, from before, because that's a lot of it, so maybe it was still left over.
Oh, you don't have.
The else, you mean the if we?
It has one. Oh, you just click or hit enter after that.
After what?
Before math.
Enter?
Before math, after the curly. Love the curly.
Oh, okay. So like right in between?
Yeah. And then do none equals.
Okay.
There you go. That's why it was mad.
It's always mad, bro.
When I lose, to take the 1 penny, it doesn't take the penny, it just tells me I lost. I'm missing the
Yeah.
function.
Yeah, you need to do set pennies right there.
Thank you.
When I lose,
You
it
alright?
tells me that there aren't that many pennies left.
Is it when you lose or when the computer loses?
When I take the last penny, since there are not that many pennies left. But 38 cents. I can't lose, which I guess is fine, but it's not the function of it.
So mine does that, but only when the computer takes
User
them.
took the last penny, you lost.
It just says there aren't that many pennies left. Which means that it's slightly more than 1 penny when there's 1 penny left.
I lost.
I don't get it.
You
said
told me I
could-
lost.
You could lose, how did you do that?
You lost.
What am I missing? What do I even do?
Okay, this takes some work. This is popping up in my window.
Oh, you probably didn't use the back ticks.
Yep, that's what I didn't do. Let me go back. So I can go back.
Yeah, so when the computer takes the last penny, it just says there aren't that many pennies left.
Yeah,
Oh,
but I'm wondering if the computer's trying to take more than the last penny then.
I'm thinking it is.
I see what I'm missing.
But that puts me at the use effect being else if pennies equal 1.
No, so the back tick to me. Oh, the back tick is in the wrong place, yeah.
You might stop.
Right?
What?
I have the else if pennies equals 1, none equals 1.
Yep. Yeah, I'm trying to get there as well.
Oh. That whole thing breaks when I lose.
Computer keeps setting me up to lose.
Yeah, you have to actually win first.
How many's left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I take 1, and then I take 2, and then I take 1, and then I look at the console. It tried to take 0 pennies? Oh, it says there's 0 pennies. Wait. It took 1.
Is the right side what the computer took or the remaining?
Left side's what they were going to take, and the right side's what was remaining. So it first said there weren't that many pennies, but then it did it. It's 9. Oh, I can't win there.
Off again.
Yeah, tried to take 2. Oh, that's weird. Look. So I took. Oh, that's why. So what's happening is it's taking the last penny, or maybe not. I don't know why it wouldn't. But what's happening on mine, just barely, is it took the last penny, and then because pennies changed, but player turn is still set to the computer, it took another turn afterwards. So we need to change the player turn at the end. And that'll stop the use effect from going.
I lose every time.
There we go. So yeah, if you add this line in the if pennies equals 1 after you set the message, then the computer won't take another turn. But that's not going to work if you lose. Now it's going to switch it and do the opposite.
Oh, get it again. I can't win. I can't win.
So
There's no winning.
let's just set it to false. Or to true, sorry. Set player turn true. That way, no matter what, it'll always be the player's turn once the game is over.
addicted to this game now, I can't stop. I won't stop until I win.
I won.
You did?
Yay,
Oh.
finally.
Computer took the last penny and went.
That'll only work if the player.
I got my
Oh,
lose
it
message.
says here, you took the last penny, you lose. Good
So
job
this
losing.
this will only work if. Okay, we don't need to do that. What we need to do is in our use effect, we need is not player turn and pennies is greater than 0. Then that should. Oh, man.
Oh my god.
Where was that ending bracket go?
What in the bracket?
After, if not player turn and pennies are greater than 0. Closing bracket.
Where?
Under use effect.
Uh-huh.
If not, is player turn and pennies are greater than 0. Where's that closing bracket?
Yay,
Under
that's how we
pennies.
won.
This one?
Yeah.
This is that one.
It took me a lot of turns to win one time.
This time it didn't catch my loss.
Yeah, because it only catches the loss if you take the last penny
The one.
when it's 1.
Okay.
So we gotta fix that too. It's all fun.
I won. I'm gonna keep that screen right there. I'm not.
But it didn't take the penny.
Oh, I was supposed to take the penny.
Yeah, they should take the penny.
Put it.
Right now you could take 1 penny and you'd lose.
Put it already. Because I left that one for the computer.
I know you
He
didn't actually take it.
anything yet. He
So
didn't take it,
it
so
means
that's-
that you need to add this in your if.
Okay, I'm adding, but I won anyway, regardless of what you're talking about.
Mhm.
Okay, I know I won. Okay, I saw it. All right, where we at?
It's okay, if you add this, if pennies equals 1, add this line right here. Up higher, up higher, up higher. Right here, above that set message.
Okay.
Yep.
If.
No, not the if pennies, just the set
Okay.
pennies one.
Okay. Gotcha.
Is there a game show titled Are You Smarter Than a Random Number Generator?
There should be.
There should be, and they can do things like this.
That would be fun. I would watch it.
We would all watch it
I would participate.
mindlessly
Exactly.
while waiting in
Oh,
traffic.
I know someone in the film industry
Maybe you're.
If
Yeah.
only.
to get this project started and running.
Hey man, I want a ghost coding reality show.
Yeah.
Like we have a Lego Masters. I want.
Okay, if
coding
you
masters.
save it and then go back to your browser, it might have taken lots of
Yeah, we
video.
all have to end up like in a mansion on the shore or something and
It is.
yell at each
Yeah, man.
other for our laptops.
But then I tried to take the last penny again.
Drunken ball in the pool.
That's because you gotta go change this line too. So it only works if the pennies are greater than 0.
Whenever one gets broken, we like certify it.
Yeah, that first if statement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If not player turn,
No, Bad Nerds Club.
Higher.
The Bad Nerds
on
Club.
line 32. Yeah.
Oh, okay. If
This is why we didn't accept your e-bike. Okay.
a lot of changes happen
Oh my
went
god,
over
that'd
my
be
head.
so funny.
I kind of want to do a sketch about it.
Hmm.
Be fun. stacked out. I wouldn't wanna do the full show.
I would help you write it, not participate.
We could do it on the TikTok,
That's
But no,
true.
man, coding masters, I'm ready,
That's
man.
very true.
fake reality show,
Let's see it.
episodes.
Oh, that'd be hilarious.
So this one, let's do if pennies is equal to num instead of equal to 1.
Empire.
22. Oh, what is that? Is it this thing?
So then that will make it so if you take the last one, or the last two, or the last three, it will
So
still.
it's,
I think
is that,
so.
is that, okay, what is that? Is that my old else if statements? What is that? Where's that coming from? Where's that at? Let's see. Oh, okay, no, I see, okay.
I want to take 3 pennies to lose, please.
Amen.
It's always just going to leave me with 1.
If you're with 9, I think you also just lose, right?
Yep.
Sucks.
Let's try.
Stupid smart computer.
We can make it smarter.
Oh, mama.
It's
My
not very smart
confidence
of
is
me.
hanging on by a thread here, AJ.
We can make it smarter.
Okay, I will.
One of us has gotta be smart,
So if we take this same thing
Will be the computer.
right?
and make it, we can add all the other ones. So there's all these. So from 21, it'll do
You slack that?
yes.
Thank you.
Let's see. Take it down to here. And then put it here. And then change all these.
Thanks for changing that for us.
Sorry.
Nice one.
That was
Power hiccup.
really Shrek-like, brother.
Yeah.
That was on the cusp of Shrek.
That was a
Three.
chocolate.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the Himalayan salt part of it.
That is, if you replace everything within the if statement in the use effect, then now your computer will be
Smarter than me.
unbeatable.
Okay.
Maybe. Yeah. You have to get it like pretty early down to.
This is, I'm ready to use it back. So I'm erasing the old use effect, or am I, what am I doing here? I'm adding on
You take everything inside of the if statement
Mhm.
and replace it with
the new one?
not including the if statement. So from let num down to take pennies.
Oh,
So
okay.
this just made it more.
This is gonna be what I
Just
Smarter.
leave the last. So now add a curly brace at the bottom.
I will.
Dang, I'm at 9 again.
Yeah, you have to pretty much get him at the very first.
Get him at the very first.
Yeah, because you've got to get it to like 21 first. So I think if you take 2, then you can get it so that it'll do. Oh dang! See, it already did it. 2, and then maybe 2,
Oh.
and then 2, and
You gotta give it
then
again.
You get to 9 again.
yeah. I don't think I can. Oh no. Yeah. 2.
I've never been so
Two.
happy to play with my pennies.
No.
Mhm.
Did you get it again?
This is great.
2 and
That's
then
not true for
1.
me. I was
You love
once
pennies?
pretty happy about pennies.
Yes.
When I used to have a
1,
picnic,
2.
I'd go through and organize
2,
my coins and count them.
1.
and be like,
I won.
"This is so rich with
No, you
$20."
didn't.
The computer took the last penny. You won.
Oh, he sucks.
I suck?
Your computer sucks. No, your
Oh yeah,
computer
and that computer does suck.
Your mine's really smart. Mine's a really smart computer.
All right, everybody caught up?
You
Yes.
did.
Game works.
It works.
It doesn't work because I can't win, so.
No, that means it does work.
It's broken.
Can I see the tick mine's broken?
Yes. There's tick pennies.
Sorry, I'm not doing anything less than 5 minutes.
Okay, so the second row, number 5, isn't a thing anymore.
Second row, number 5.
Yeah, because when you get it down to that where they have to pick
Yeah, you pretty much have to get in
21.
21, and then, so if you take 2, and then take 1 maybe? Let me see. It should be the same for all of us. So if we take 2, and then I take 1, then whatever it takes, I want to get it. So 3 in this one, and then, nope, I lost again. So 2,
Because that's smart.
and then 2.
You're at 14, so you want
So
to
I
pick.
take 1,
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, and I win. Yeah, I found it's easy if you
Yeah, no patterns on it.
well, if you minimize it so that you're looking at it in rows of 5,
Yeah.
it's easier to figure out what the numbers is.
Can you just redo the,
Oh, you got me again.
how big are these? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
My computers.
How many pixels are they wide? The pennies?
You said
20, I
1
think.
17? What did you say, one is again?
21.
21.
So. This
I
is,
hate the number 9 now.
that's not what we do. Yeah, the pieces section would be what we get it, right?
This is addictive. I'm sorry, I can't stop. I'm not stopping.
I don't want
So I got it at 21. What did you say, do? What did you get it at 21?
It depends on what they do.
Ah. Okay,
So-
so he had the last move on 21.
So I would take 2,
Yeah, 2.
and then what's it at now?
That's 11 and 14, 15, 17.
It's 17.
Yep, because it's 11 on the top.
Oh, okay.
2 again.
I don't know. Let's see. So
See, my computer's smarter than yours. I
So if
told
you take it from here, I would do,
That's right, you had that shorty.
if you do 1,
1, yeah. So now I'm down to 13.
it took 3.
Okay. Now I'm
Wait,
down.
no, I didn't tell you to take 3. I said it took 3.
Yeah, I did take 3.
Yeah, then you can't win.
I can't win. I'm gonna take 3 again.
Hey,
Yeah.
I think it just
Let me
make
think
the
again.
pennies with, but
Uh,
not change the like div
so let's see.
class.
So we want to look at penny or the pieces,
Yeah,
right?
it's in the pieces, I think. Sorry.
So pieces, and then we're gonna do, instead of width full,
Yeah.
well, but that'll make this not
Yeah.
line up too. So what we could do is we could add a div here. And then put this inside of that div. And then class name that one with flex and flex wrap and gap 2. And MX auto. But then do width to, let's see, what each of the pennies was 20, is that right?
It looks like that width 10 and height 10, so it's 40.
It's 40.
That's what it says in
We got
Class name.
5 of them, so we want it to be 200-ish, so 52. Nope, 54. 56. 50.
Why did you
60.
do this one? What did you do this for?
There we
just
go.
to make it so that they're 5 in a row.
A 5 in a row?
60?
60.
Oh my
So
God, no.
Alright, let's-
I have 24 pennies.
Why do you have 24 pennies?
I don't know.
It's a smart virus.
Shouldn't be able to have 24 pennies. We started at 23 and you can't add pennies.
It says 24 pennies.
I don't
Well,
know, so I think you were having a hard
1, 2,
time.
3, 4, 5 times 3 is 50. Oh, I just. I was in the middle of a game there.
Oh.
Yes. So, what
Alright.
was that again? What did you do with the pieces again?
I added a div around,
Yeah.
so, and then I just made these classes.
Let me just look at that in a second.
So Sandy, yours isn't working?
Nice.
I think you just need to close it down, so add another closing div right there.
Oh, so. No more fool, yeah? Fool's on the second line. NW. 60.
Oh, you have a, you don't have a closing string on this line with the web
Oh,
fold.
Wait,
not
you have
nine.
nine.
So if you go with that,
Nine is not
closing
good.
string.
It's not bad.
Is it? So what would
You
you
take-
recommend?
Oh, see, now you done tapped into my inner. See, I'm gonna start
Delete that extra.
coding with a hoodie on.
Yeah, it's.
That's what I'm gonna be all at. I'm gonna be like this hacker. I'm gonna be like a hacker, man. I'm gonna be a hacker.
And then,
Look at the hacker look like though. That's probably to help me, man. I'm gonna find me a hoodie in my closet.
Nine, don't
Just
go.
take it.
I do 2, 1.
It's all about the attitude, you know, the attitude. Look at that.
What is it, 13?
Yeah.
She has a hoodie on. I'm gonna change my. If I put a hoodie on, I'm gonna be a better coder. I'm gonna code with a hoodie. Oh, well, that's for attitude. Oh, to be like a hacker.
no, because it's cold.
Oh, okay. For me, it's just all about the look, bro.
1.
Okay, I'm just trying to go for the look here. Okay, what else did he do? Okay, Ray and Penny. Yeah, I got that.
So do you
So
always
this
leave
right
it for
here
two?
needs to be set as player turn.
Key,
Yeah, because
key, and
you'll
individual
push
sheet.
it at 9.
Is that what it is?
Scroll down.
17.
Something wrong with the message.
13.
You're missing.
Individual. Classroom. Something's wrong.
Hover over that and see what it says. Over the.
Alright, now a 10. I take 3.
You need another, yeah.
There's 1.
You can save it. Let's do the, yeah.
Okay, that's good. 3 it's 10. What else?
It's like it's trying to fuck me over. It's like, how can I get them at the worst possible numbers?
Yeah, that is what it's trying to
Second
do.
level, the
That's
worst.
actually what it is trying to do.
Okay, so now we need to make it so that when the game is over, you,
That I'm needing.
we switch the buttons so you can't take more pennies. And it starts over.
Alright, you need to get it down to 5.
I broke something?
If you're at 10, take 1.
Yeah.
How did I break
That's
it?
it.
What's
Keep
wrong
going.
with my?
Yep.
No, I'm at 4.
I don't understand why is it.
You have a single quote here and a
Thank
double
you.
quote there.
Thank
So you need to
you.
change that one
I
for
will
single or
remember
double quote.
today for the rest of my life.
Really? This is a pretty.
That makes a difference.
Yeah.
I thought it was doing it on its own.
Yeah.
You probably started it with a single and ended it with a double.
They're all I
Okay,
have.
that's all you got.
You need a second closing div down here.
Down here.
No,
Yeah,
this
cause you have
is-
two
yeah.
divs here, but you're
Cut
not
one,
closing.
I'm leaving off on top. Turning in my belt.
No.
I'm sorry. Oh, closing. div.
Closing div.
I think a second closing div. Okay, my bad. Okay. This is,
How can I send this to my parents to make them
okay.
frustrated and then out of
Or
it?
really good.
Oh, that's right, 'cause you did, you added another div.
Yeah.
Duh. Okay.
Alright, so back in app.js, we are going to,
Genius.
let's see, user actions. We're going to pass the pennies. Actually, let's see. We're going to just create another button here. So we'll say pennies is greater than 0, question mark. And then after that we'll say or, and then we'll just put a button. And then, oops, close that.
Is it supposed to be in tick marks or something? Oh, parentheses?
Inside out parentheses.
Restart. Or let's say play again.
Nothing.
One click equals,
Capital B button?
yeah. So it's one of our dumb button things.
Dumb button.
Dumb
Yeah.
what?
Handle
Dumb what?
restart. And then we'll create that function right here. Const handle restart equals, and then restart will set pennies to 23. Set is player turn to true. Do that one first. And then, do we have any other? Oh, and set message to a blank string. Okay, so we changed these lines and added this function.
I'm still confused. I'll figure it out.
Okay,
I'll always do.
so
User action.
Oh, okay. Feedback. Oh, there it is. I know. There we go. Okay. Okay. Button.
No, feedback is all fudged up. For me.
Fun stuff.
shouldn't be.
I get so lost sometimes.
Alright,
Oh, I know why.
so I'm gonna add some spacing here. So that, okay. So everything from this to this is new, and then the handle restart as well.
That's what throws me off too, guys. Don't worry, we're not going on. He's just testing the R. Ability to keep it on the fly.
It works.
Oh, you put it in a div?
Yeah,
Exactly.
so that it would have
That's
some space.
important.
Yeah, and then I gave it a class name of with full.
Any other pieces,
But,
Oh.
Okay.
Got it?
No.
Okay.
Almost.
Something very long.
My button is mapped.
Mine too.
Is it because you don't have it imported, probably? If
It's-
probably aren't using it. So hold Control and hit spacebar, and if it says in or the component, then you can click Enter. But essentially, yeah, if you have red lines under your button, you didn't import it.
Yeah, that was what it was.
Weird.
That's agitating.
So agitating.
I mean, it was a quick, easy fix.
Easy fix.
When I installed it.
Yeah, but it was added up at the top.
You didn't have it imported because the only place we were actually using it was in user actions. We weren't using it in app.
Two pins.
It is now.
One pin.
Imported it when we hit Control Space and Enter.
That's right. I like it. I do. Counting number 13.
Ah, I win.
What?
I win.
Of course you do.
I win the money.
Good for you.
You get to keep the pennies if you win.
Oh, there was a game called like the Rice Challenge or something like that in like 2005 somewhere.
Rice challenge?
Something like that. And what you would do is you would just take like trivia quizzes, and every question you got right, it would give you 10 grains of rice. And every grain of rice that you got eventually was donated.
Huh.
Yeah, hungry people.
Sure it was.
Yeah, don't know how much you can trust it, but
Yeah. Who was there to confirm? No one.
a bunch of teenagers that thought that they were helping.
Wait a minute.
Hmm.
I don't know how to play again, but.
That's what Get you down to 9. Get you down to 5. Get you to 1.
Now I
My
want.
play again separates from, yeah.
I like that better.
Where's the play again?
What do you have to say first?
Right here.
That button?
Yeah.
Can, in class name, do we add the background?
No.
But orange, cause look, it's not orange.
Yeah. Neither was the user actions, was it? My user actions didn't have the orange.
Even when I have no pennies, my penny area, my pieces area is still there.
Yeah, because I just moved the pieces inside of here and put a fragment around it. Because I like changing things when no one's looking.
Yes, you do.
That's how I roll.
That penny
Keeps
greater
people
than
on their
zero.
toes. That's pretty good. All right, so what's after?
In fact, yeah.
How do I wrap it in?
Where am I? So under the div.
God, I always forget what it is.
You're missing
How to
a
wrap something.
Huh?
curly brace.
How do I wrap
Oh, okay.
this?
And
the
yeah, you're missing
Oh, down below.
the closing div here and these.
Under the feedback. Yeah, I erased it because I didn't see. I knew it was supposed to stay there, but if I don't see it, I erase it. That's what I was doing.
Well, this is just below the fold. And then it should be a grin and then a curly brace. Okay, and then you need to add that handle restart function at just above the return that I have at the top on line 68. And your line numbers won't be the same as mine because I have my line length set to like 60 or something like that.
Oh, so the const handles restart?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And that is right below this one here?
Yeah, right above the return, right below that function.
Okay.
It's so cold.
And it's burning up in here, bro.
So cold.
No, I'm just joking, man. You can turn it off if you need, bro.
If I stand right here, I'm fine. If I sit right there, it's
Because
awful.
I'm never cold, but I'm cold today. Cold now, so.
What even is that, bro? What even are those? I've never seen such things.
Open close?
He's never.
That's just a div.
Why, where's the
This?
DNA?
Yeah.
That's a fragment,
It's a fragment.
remember?
Yeah, from last.
A fragment.
I
So
see
you can do
that.
it this way, or you can do react.fragment.
Okay.
That was in our component thing, yeah? It was in our-
Yes, we did it in the movies thing.
Yep, the movies. Sorry.
No, not vaguely.
So, because this if statement, you have to return a single component from. So where we have two of them, we have to do a fragment around it,
Okay.
or a div, but the fragment is in this place. So if you took that out, then you're gonna have pieces is gonna be like upset, or maybe user action. One of them will be upset because you can't return both of them.
Can you scroll up a little bit?
That's-
17. I forget. 13 automatically lose. We should see. Yeah, I'm at 13. I lost.
Are you wanting the use effect?
No.
Where to put handle restart.
Oh, just right underneath the use effect? It really can go anywhere above the return.
I've never been
17
in a
again.
computer in chess.
Put me at 13.
Ha!
Again.
Life is hard.
Life is freaking
They
hard.
put me at 17 again.
Life is hard.
Okay, Yoda.
Life is
It's
hard.
hard.
Life is hard.
Hard life.
Hard life is.
Alright, 19. Where do we go from there? Take 3? 13 again.
Oh my
No,
goodness.
you'll lose now. As soon as you get to 9,
You're done.
well, once you get to 13, you got to get the computer to
Honestly, 17.
17.
I think so. I've lost every time I've gotten 17.
Okay, I'm at 17.
Let's see. So if you take 3 there, wait, no, just kidding.
Terrible. And I think
Because if you take anything now, it'll take you to 9, and then you'll lose. So refresh it. So take 2, then wait for a second. Take 2. Take 1.
1. There you go.
Nope, take you to 9
It
again.
took me to 9 again.
Refresh.
It's-
Scroll down.
So this can't be at 9.
the whole return, basically.
There's the whole return. And on this side is the handle restart.
Yeah, 1.
So yeah, even if I do 3 here, it's good.
Yeah, it's going to take you down to 9, so refresh.
There's like, what the,
One.
where did this div come from?
1,
Weird.
Okay, wait.
3.
No, if you take 3,
And
it'll take 1, and then
Yeah.
you'll have to take
What about if I take 1?
1. Okay, nope, he got you down there again.
Yeah, I know. It's like just as long.
Take
as
2,
Take 2.
then take 2 more,
Take 2 more.
and then
Yeah.
take 2.
He did it again.
Yeah.
Because I can't. If it was here, then I can't.
Okay, go back. Take 2, and then take 2.
Nope. Again.
No, refresh.
Can't take 2 and 2.
Take 2, then 1.
2, 1. Ah.
Okay, then let's see. Take
That.
1,
1.
then take.
Nope. I can't because it'll give me down again. Even if I take one, he'll take the three.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You have another dip, yeah,
One.
Two. I always start with 2.
Yeah, two.
This.
And then
Three.
another two. And then I lose.
okay. This, what, this dip?
So he's always gonna, on purpose, get it to 9, huh? That's what he's gonna do, huh?
I have that.
Yeah, that's the goal is,
So, yeah, get rid of
If
it.
I take 3, he takes 3. Or one.
This top
Oh,
one.
he's
is
gonna
a
do it
dip
again.
class.
Even if I take 3, he's gonna take 1. Yep.
You have that, so you need to close it.
so let's see. I'm gonna do 2. And then I do 2 again.
And
So if I take
3. Or 1.
2 there,
He took another 2?
yeah,
One save it.
this one I can't get him down to,
No, you can't because he'll take 3 again. Even if you take
Yeah.
1.
One
And if
for
you
me,
take
and
three,
another
he'll take one.
parenthesis, colon,
So you can't.
yeah,
that colon. So
Somehow
this
gotta get him in
bracket
the
needs
thing
to go
where.
down.
2, 1,
Bracket, colon,
One.
or at least get rid of that colon.
Does that on purpose. He does it on purpose. Doesn't matter what I take,
And
he
second.
just, he's smarter than the average bear.
I won.
I'll stop.
So 2, and then I take 1, and then I take 1, and then,
You too.
nope, that one won't work.
Yeah, that'll work.
2, then 1,
Or maybe you
Then-
got him one time. He let you win one time.
2, nope, 2, then 1, then 1,
So you make it select 17, you make it select 13, and then you make it select 5.
yep,
You just have to bait him into doing what you want him to do. So you're actually in control. 3. 1. Okay. Let's see if my son survived. I think the kid's by himself for 4 hours. Yeah, his friend's over.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it was the first time.
yep. That was it. So you have to get it so that it gets down to 17 for it.
Say that again?
So you need to get it so that it gets down to the 17. As long as it's picking on the 17, then you can always win. So,
Which means you have to get it down to 19 first.
starts at 23. I start with 2, and then I just pick whatever
Yeah.
it takes to get to 17 from that.
I did it on one click.
I think I missed one.
So I'm at 17.
No, you want it to pick 17. So refresh.
So I gotta pick one then.
So do 2.
Oh, 2?
Yep. Now do 3.
Ah.
Okay, then do 2. Then do.
3. Yeah, 3.
No, we messed it up.
Yeah, we messed it up. More like
Yeah,
that.
so if you get down to 12, you can't do 3.
Yeah.
Because then
So
you'll
do
do
2.
3 and you'll be down.
I like how he messed up. He says we. 'Cause he
You're the
said-
one clicking.
Oh, so
It's we.
okay. I
If
like
it was
that.
me, I'd be clicking.
Oh, okay.
Hit 2. Alright, 2. Alright, now 1.
1.
Nope.
It's there's no formula. There's only formula for losing.
2.
That's it.
Then 2. Okay, hold on a second.
1. 1, yeah.
Yeah, 1. Then 3.
3. Yeah, I did it.
Then 1.
Then 1.
Then 2.
Then 2. Yay.
You win!
No, we win, remember?
Oh yeah, we win.
We win.
We lose, but you win.
Oh, computer. Trying to be challenging now.
Very nice.
Guess what?
This reminds me of my days when I first got my Mac and I was doing the chess game.
Oh, you can't win the
You
chess
can't,
game.
But I became really good at chess. Playing against the Mac computer. Anybody else play chess here?
You
That used to be
studied?
my thing.
I thought I studied.
I want to teach my kids how to play.
Oh, wow.
No. Penny is-
One Christmas I got a chess table, sitting on the balcony, I've never played a chess table.
Really?
Yeah,
Oops.
well, I got that chess table for Christmas morning.
That's
I've
cool.
never played it
Yeah.
All right, so
Make your kids.
now you've built a React app. Everybody's works? Yeah? Okay. So let's go through what we actually did.
Yeah, I like that idea.
We're going to start at the top, right?
You're still recording.
Yes. So index.js is the top of the app, right? This is what our HTML will run. So we don't do anything for this, but this is what's happening under the hood. Our index.html in our public folder gets the link to this script tag, and it gets pushed in here when we run. So Webpack is doing all this for us. When we do create React app, all that gets set up, and we don't have to do anything. Okay.
So what's in my public folder?
You have this index.html file, and
Okay.
okay, and it's getting the JavaScript file, and then it's going to use this root. We're going to use this root to push it in. Okay, but all it's getting is the bundle, which will start at index.js. Okay, so index is what's being bundled. Anything you do inside of index will then end up in your app. Okay, so in our index file, we're importing React. We're importing React DOM. We're importing our CSS file, which just has our stuff for for Tailwind, right? Okay, and then we're importing our app component. Okay, we go and we create the root on React DOM and get the root element and apply that as our root for React. Okay. Now, when you create a React app, all this is going to happen for you. So you don't have to remember this, but it's good to understand what's happening here, right? And then we render on the root, and what we're really rendering is the app, right? The strict mode is just for development. It'll give you errors if you do something stupid. But app is what we care about, okay? So because that's what we're importing here. So then if we jump into app, this is where all of our stuff is happening, right? So we have our app component, which has 3 pieces of state. Okay, so remember, use state is a hook. So anytime you see use and then some word, that's going to be a hook function. So these ones are built into React. Use callback, use effect, use state. At some point we'll learn how to write our own hooks that do things. Okay. So we're using use state here, and what we pass it is going to be the initial state that gets set to the thing on the left. So use state returns an array, right? And the array is going to have the first index is our state, and the second index is our setter function. Okay, that's why we named them like this. So whatever we pass use state is going to be our initial state for that left side. So we have pennies, message is player turn, and then the convention typically is just add set to whatever your state is called. Okay, so set pennies, set message, set is player turn. Then we have our take pennies function. Notice this is all just JavaScript, right? We're not really doing much here. We're just calling a bunch of functions, checking some state, but all of this is just the JavaScript that we're used to writing, okay? So we do some extra stuff here just to make it easier for us so we don't have to rewrite stuff over and over and over. So we figure out who the user is, we create a message based on that user, and then we check the number of pennies that are currently in play, and based on that we do different things. Okay, again, this is just JavaScript. This isn't React specific except for the use effect. So use effect takes a function and an array, right? So the function is whatever you want it to do every time the app or the component renders. The array is what you care about when it renders. So when it re-renders, if any of those change, it'll run your function, okay? And then handle restart is just a function we created to set all of our state back to initial state. Okay? Which would be good, since we're repeating this, remember, don't repeat yourself. It'd be good to create some constants outside of the app that are these initial states, and that way if we needed to change it to be a 25 penny game, then we could change it and not have to change it in two places. Change it in one place. Okay, and then from the return in your app, in any component, whatever you return has to be your JSX. This is the HTML, right? Whatever's going to render. So we're rendering a div that holds a construct or an instructions component. It checks the pennies. If the pennies are greater than 0, then the game's still playing, and it renders the pieces and then the user actions. If it's not still playing because the pennies are 0, then it renders the play again button, and then it also renders the feedback. Okay, so let's jump into our components over here. We've got our button component, which is just a button that has our class names on it. Okay, nothing fancy there. Our feedback component is just a div that gets the message and displays it. We just made it so that we have all of this in one place. Instructions, again, this doesn't even take anything. It's just some HTML essentially. Okay. And then pieces. In fact, we could change instructions.
2 pieces.
Well, I guess the only difference is this has rounded bottom none and the other one has rounded top none. I was going to say instructions and feedback are basically the same. We could just give feedback whatever instructions needed. But it would yeah. Anyway, pieces has a couple divs around it just for structure, but then this is the key here. We're looping through how many pennies there are, creating an array, and then mapping that array with a penny per number in the array, right? And then user actions is our div that has our 3 buttons in it that call the take penny function that's passed down to it and passes it the number of pennies to take. Any questions on any of? Yes.
Can you open index.js in the components? Because I accidentally deleted mine.
Yes. All it is exporting all of those. And the only reason we do this is so that if we look in app.js, we can have this single import that imports all of these out of components, because when we import from components like this, when it's a folder, it'll automatically pull from index. Okay, so if there's an index.js inside of a folder, that's the main component that will be pulled from. Okay, if we didn't have this index, then you'd have to import each of these separately. So you have essentially this here.
Still running.
What's the error say?
In source app.js, export instructions imported as instructions is not found in dot module has exports. Oh, deleted here.
Yeah, there needs to be components. That's it. You broke it. Why is it so broken? Where are your pizzas?
Pizzas.
Where are your pizzas? Take off flex and flex wrap and gap 2 on that one.
One second. Oh.
take off the index of that one too. Yeah.
I mean, it was working until I accidentally deleted index.js.
What's index.js have that?
It's this.
Okay. That looks right.
Yeah. But maybe it like,
Let's look at your app.js. Scroll down to that. Sure. Okay, go to your instructions. Okay. Go back to your browser. Open up your console. Let's look at the elements. Root. Okay, go inside that one. Oh, you have a width 6, should be 60. Pieces. There.
thanks.
Yeah.
When did that happen?
One
Oh, I hit a
zero.
control Z, and then I was like, what did you do, control Z?
Yes.
Nothing happened.
Nothing
No,
happened.
no.
But something did happen.
Something did happen, I got rid of the 0 that I typed.
Well,
So my index.js had this in it and not this.
no, you don't want that in there.
I don't want this in it.
So the index.js we're looking at right now is the one set components.
Okay.
So yeah.
So this is fine.
This is
Like I told you before.
Yeah, so that's one thing, you're gonna have multiple index.js's in your
Dark mode is,
architecture.
good for you.
Because
So much already.
we'll have,
Oh, we can have that.
we'll have our main index.js runs our app, right? It's inside of source. And then
Maybe.
inside of components, we have one, and then let's say
That's
we wanted
fine.
like a buttons, because we have several different
What is
buttons.
that?
We would probably have an index.js inside
You
of
wanted
that
that, yeah.
folder, so anytime you
Don't
create a
take it
new
away from-
folder of components, you're probably gonna add an index.js,
Perfect.
and we'll export those components for you,
Hmm.
okay? So get used to, there's gonna be a bunch of index.js's in your applications. So I'll give you an example. Actually, I don't have anything open right now. Let's see. I'll open up our Explorer app. It's open source anyway. Code, provenance, Explorer. So here is a larger React app. Okay, and I'm gonna close that one. Actually,
Are there any front-end mentor projects that use React?
any of them can. You could build any of that stuff with React
Okay.
because it's just a design.
Yeah, they give you like a starter kit.
Yeah, they give you some HTML as all. You can just take it and put it in your React. So we could build some front end mentor stuff with it. So if I go to my index.js, notice how many index.js's I have.
A lot,
Yes, many index.js's.
so don't delete them.
Don't delete them.
Good
I
God.
have a lot of index.js's. But this is set up the same way. Okay, if I open source, I'm gonna have one index. Actually, I have index.tsx because we're moving this to TypeScript right now. So yeah, so I've got my index file, right? That kind of looks the same. This is an older version of React scripts or React DOM, maybe. So that needs to be updated. Okay, but then I also, once again, it just has an app, right? I have this provider, so this is a store, and we'll get into those later. But in my app.js, I have all of this, basically the same kind of stuff, okay? So, and then in my pages is where I'm keeping all of the different pages. So this is a site that has a bunch of different files, or a bunch of different,
Faucet and gas.
yes. So if I go to explore.test.com, so this is the app that we're looking at the code for. Okay, so this is the dashboard page, and then I have the validators page. Notice my URL is changing. All of this is happening within React. The page is not refreshing because I'm going to a new page. It's all React. Okay, so I'm using a router to create these URLs. Here's the router. Okay, and then inside the router, I'm giving it the different things to do. So I say switch through these different paths. If the path is this, then redirect to this one. If the path is this, here's the component to what?
That just saves load time.
Yeah, it's just one app that loads one time, and then it just keeps rendering different components.
Does it like refresh the data?
The data refreshes when I tell it to inside the app.
Okay.
So like, let's go back to the dashboard and we can look at the network and watch as Spotlight gets hit over and over and over. Okay, so I have a timeout that says every 5 seconds, every 10 seconds, something like that, to hit for different things. Because this will change. This is a blockchain, so that there's going to be constantly new blocks hitting.
Oh, just a blockchain question, I guess. With chain value, is that all of the assets within this
Yeah,
together equal 101 trillion?
yeah. This is our test net though.
Wait, was that 101 trillion, or is that like
Yeah.
it's a test? Because it says 101,000 with a T at the end.
Yeah, so it'd be,
101,000 trillion?
yep. So our actual assets are only 8.19
Oh, that's
billion.
it? Only?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is our main net. This is live. Okay. So all of these are just, this is a component with components inside of it, right? And then each of these pages is its own component that holds a bunch of components. So if I go look at my pages, I have this dashboard component, which has this index.js that just exports to the dashboard. And then I have this dashboard, okay, and it has all that stuff we were just looking at. So this is just the page.
Yeah.
Right.
So you're mapping the data on a graph, on a chart. Where is that happening?
So this one
Yeah.
is 30-day hash price.
Yeah.
So that is price history probably. If you click into that one, then yeah, this is it. Here's all the filter data, and then filters, wrapper filters. Here's the price chart, so which is its own component. So this right here is that price chart or this price history component, but then it's rendering a card component, right? So let's see, content, which has an icon and a title. So here's my title and my icon. Okay, and then that renders children, which has this filters wrapper and has the filters, which is this section right here as a component, right? And then it's got the price chart, which is this component. Okay, and then I'm passing data down to it. So I open up the price chart, and it gets the start date, the end date, the data, and then it creates the chart. So it's just a whole bunch of crap in here. So here's all we're actually returning is the styled chart with all the chart element information. Or if there's no data, then it returns this, there's no price history available. Okay? So again, here's a use effect, right? That we're creating an e-chart. So we're using a library to create the actual chart. And then we're going through all the data and saying, if any of this changes, we need to update the e-chart. Okay? This is the same thing we just built, just on a bigger scale. And we didn't build it all in one day. We built it for months and years,
Yeah.
right? So this is like a mature product app. Let's look. That many.
I really fizzed out there in 2022.
Yeah. So
Someone else picked it up.
Jared took over.
Jared took over.
Yeah. I hired Jared, and then he took over for me,
Yeah, nice.
and then I help him sometimes. That's why there's that.
Well, I barely got a heartbeat there.
Yeah. So I've still deleted more code than him.
Yeah.
So
141,000 is what
That avatar,
lines, yeah.
that avatar does not look like you.
Sure does.
And then you added 51,000 lines.
Yeah.
So much. That's cool. Did you? Wait.
Wow.
Is this collecting both adding and deleting as like contribution for the chart below?
Yes. I think so.
Wow.
Because I'm wondering where you deleted everything.
Probably here.
Yeah.
Mm.
But
So deletions probably were like different
Oh.
libraries that I removed. So because that'll change your package lock, and package lock ends up being like huge. But we don't push node modules up. If you look even in our, so here's our pennies React. If we go look at our,
well, this is still recording.
that's okay. It's an open source app.
Okay.
So-
So.
Yeah, it's open
Always
source.
business minded. I love this guy. Thinking liability. Liability.
No, if you go to this page, you can see all this. It's public.
I don't like
That's
jail.
why I chose it.
Jail, that's me.
So I didn't create this git ignore, it automatically created it. And it's gonna keep our node modules out of our GitHub, so we're not pushing dependencies that you'd have to npm install anyway. Okay? But yeah, so the package lock file though is like huge, right?
Yeah.
So if I change the package lock file, it does get pushed up. So some of that could be that, or it could be like we had some feature that I deleted. So, yeah. I guess another one, I think the wallet's open source. Wallet Utils is open source.
That's what I
So this one is not React, I don't think. It's just a TypeScript library. So, then can't remember what the other one's called. So this is Provenance that I work for,
Mm.
and let's see, public. Only 9 commits.
As opposed to 135. and
Yeah.
six.
Yep. So most of the work I did on this was in that library.
Mm.
And then most of these commits were probably me bumping the version in this for that from that library. So,
I will say, Travis was right, you do need to add a mustache to your
oh yes, I should.
That's what it is.
Like a Simba mustache.
That's what Right, because you look like just a baby with glasses on. That movie, what's that movie called again?
He's got a shadow.
What's the name of that
Boss
movie?
Baby?
Yeah, he looks like Boss Baby.
He's got a
Anime
shadow.
version Boss Baby.
Yeah, in
Computer epic.
But it
Looney
really
Tunes
looks like
that-
a shadow. It doesn't look
he was hungover.
Somebody dressed up for Halloween.
I don't remember how to make those. You do it on your phone, right?
Oh, yeah.
What's wrong?
Shit, too much, not very.
Too
I
much.
have like less than 5.
Too much, not very.
Yeah, maybe have a little.
And watch
You should see the shit I eat.
Yeah, I've been eating too
That.
much. I've been eating this
Sure.
I guess.
Yeah, same.
I was one day like, come on, I'm not ready to talk on
All right, so where's everybody at on their to-dos app? Anybody started yet?
I opened the component.
Yeah, I opened.
The component?
Or I
The
made
to-do
it.
component.
I made a component.
Yeah.
Did they give you a to-do component?
No,
It
it
gives
says
instructions to make.
started, make component, and that's it.
Okay, so should we start it? We have half an hour.
Yep.
We can start that component library thing. Okay. So
You should use this doctor.
I know, it doesn't.
Snack. Snack.
all right, so in your terminal, let's do a npx create React app. Nobody needs to create it. If you've already created it, then you don't need to do this, right? And then,
I already created it.
I don't know, did you already create a to-dos app?
I don't think so.
Okay, so then we're gonna go tilde/code/dev-island/projects, and we're gonna call it to-do app.
Okay, well, I don't have to do all that because I don't have all that.
You do have all that.
The project, the Island projects, I think mine is more simple, right? I can't remember that. But anyway, I'll just press it in and see.
I think it's the same.
Okay.
You have a quote somewhere? Oh, yeah, you did quote instead of tilde.
Oh, you. Okay, do that again.
Control C first. And then hit Control C one more time, because it wants you to give that quote still.
Just like you.
Cool down.
Okay, so once you run that, it will create that React app at that spot. What? No. It'll create it in that to-do app that we gave it. So if you did code dev island projects to-do app, it's going to create a to-do app folder and create a React app inside of it.
I
So
just had an automatic page open that's developer.chrome.com. And it just tells me what's new in Chrome.
woohoo!
Yeah.
Chrome must have updated.
It did update a couple days ago, but I'm curious like what prompted it to automatically open that right now.
Hmm.
Yeah. The computer's getting smarter.
It's creepy.
Ooh.
I'm sorry, I'm stuck behind.
This?
If I'm already in my projects folder, I can just put NPX create React that do that.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any way to collapse folders? Cause I ran that when I was
Should
already
definitely
in the folder, I had
move
to
these
read
next
for
one.
it.
She's great for it.
Yeah, we can move it.
Replace the top one. Raising this. Make a cookie out of it.
Here, we can move it while we're waiting.
So, you'll have to probably close, is it the to-do app that you did it in?
Yeah, I made a folder and then I opened it in the folder and created a new one inside of it.
So open your terminal. Do LL. Oh, okay, so everything inside of to-do application there is your actual application. Right, so do NV space to do tab, hit tab, and then do star, and then space, and then dot, and hit enter. Okay, and then do push up once, and then before the star, do a dot. And then hit enter. And then do LL. Okay, and then LL to do hit tab. Hit enter. Okay, and then RM dash RF or space dash RF. Dash RF. And then space to do enter. Done. Oh.
Wow. Thank you.
What's the RF?
Yeah, what was
So RN is remove,
Mhm.
and then dash R is recursive, and then because it's a folder, and then F is course, so it won't ask you, are you sure?
Still not saying I'm sure.
Yeah, we're just
Full bore, like, yeah, we're good. Okay, so once this is run, then open up that to-do app in code. So, you can, if you're in your projects, you can just run code and then to-do project. If you ran what I ran, you can write code and then, exclamation point $, and then tab, and it should fill in from your last command, as long as you didn't run anything else. Exclamation point $. And you can just hit enter really, and then you'll have to hit enter again. Okay, so once your to-do app is open, did you guys already put Tailwind in your to-do app? Are you gonna use Tailwind for your to-do app?
Do we have to?
No?
And
You can create CSS files like cavemen. No, that's fine. Okay, so now we have an app created, right? You just want to delete stuff. Specifically this. If you're going to create CSS files, then my suggestion would be to create a CSS file for each component, as opposed to trying to do classes all in the app CSS or index CSS. I'd create a new folder called components in source and create an index.js inside of there. And then, what was the components it said to make?
It just says to do what you do.
No.
I'm guessing it has like an entry, a to do and like a submit.
Wow. It's a lot of
Alright.
passwords.
Create a new project, create a component to display the list of to-dos, create a form to add a to-do, support deleting to-dos, support adding to-dos, import and use Bootstrap for styling your components. So you can use Tailwind instead, or you can just create your own CSS if you would like to do that. We'll just all make fun of you when you show it off to us. Okay, so we need a component to display a list of to-dos. Essentially what we want is new file to-do list.js, and then I would also say to-do.js, right?
So in your force, you created in the source, you created index and to do, yeah?
In source, I created a components folder.
Yeah, inside the components, what do you create?
I created an index.js, a to-do.js, and a to-do list.js.
Because I made it into a file on the folder, gotcha.
And then okay. So I created just some. This is pretty much how I start anything I work on. I just create the components and then I make them give me a div with their name in them. And then I export them. Export to-do list from to-do list. Export to-do from to-do. Then I go to app.js. I'm going to import to-do list. And then I would go from there. Right? So, to-do list is going to need a list of to-dos that are stored somewhere, like in some sort of state. I guess you could say use state Hawaii. But that's not going to give you a list.
I'm gonna give you a list.
It just happened. Okay.
Would you keep that the function or can it be false?
You could turn it into a const. I prefer arrow functions for my components.
I did that.
There you go.
So, and I also prefer to do named exports like this. That would mean you have to do this and then go into your index.js and wrap that. So you could just leave it as is too.
Okay. Okay. Wait, wait, wait.
So
What do you do?
what are you in?
Index, yes, right? What do you do?
Which index.js? The components one?
Yeah.
That's this one.
Is that, oh, okay, it's just those two?
Yep.
Oh, wrong thing going on there. Okay. Yeah, because you already went past that, and I was thinking, okay, I'll keep up one day, bro.
So if you're not going to use Tailwind, then I would. This is the other thing I would do. In components, I would create a folder for each of these components. So I'd say to-do list, and I'd move to-do list in there, like like that. And then I would create a new file that's to-do list.css. And then I would create a new file that's index.js. And I would export to-do list from to-do list. And then in to-do list, I would, and this is all recorded, so you can go to the end of the thing. And then I would import my CSS to-do list.css. And I typically don't do, I usually do to-do list like that. So, okay. So if you're gonna do CSS instead of Tailwind, this would be my suggestion, is create folders for each of your components that hold your CSS file and your component. You don't have to do this, you can throw like CSS files somewhere, but you have to import them somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So, and import them from somewhere. This will just keep it more manageable.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking for. We're looking for manageable.
So what's the process for installing Tailwind? Now that you've done all of these CSS folders and stuff aside?
No, now I feel like you have to do this.
Okay, so you have another index.js in the to-do folder that's
Yeah,
not,
I'm just
that's
gonna-
separate from the components folder.
I'm looking at lots of video over the weekend.
Yeah.
I'm just very lost. I know what you're very lost.
I'm just gonna be looking at lots of video over the weekend. That's all I can say.
Okay.
Okay.
That's the index.js.
Oh, is that the other one?
Oh, and we don't need to do this anymore.
Is that,
What do you
so
mean?
that's
What's that?
not the one that's in the to-do folder?
In the to-do folder, it looks like that.
It's just to-do.
And then in the to-do JS, it looks like this. And then the to-do CSS is empty. If you want to do Tailwind, then just go to their website and go to Docs and go to Framework Guides and go to Create React App and follow these steps.
That's right, thank you.
And then use all the class names. You can totally just create, like, let me show you. I could just delete this components folder and I could just create a new file that is to-do list.css and I could also create a to-do.js. Sorry, this should have been to-do.js. And then app could just use them from there as well. Let's see, actually, this actually to do would be probably in to do's. So, and then app CSS can hold all of the classes for everything you do. You can set it however you want. So the components folder with all the folders inside of it is more of a best practice type thing
Right.
because as your app grows, it's going to be manageable. Whereas if you just have a bunch of components inside of source, it's going to be harder to manage. So. Also, I'd get rid of like the test file and the report web vitals and like we did in the other one, so you don't have all these other files that you don't need and set up tests and stuff. Okay, if you were to run this, so
No more pennies.
No more pennies. I don't think, do I even have anything in to-do list? So. So, now I have to-do list. And it has crap in it because my app CSS still has stuff, index CSS as well. Don't need any of that.
Trouble finding state.
Probably just because you're not using it. Is it blocking you from rendering?
Yeah. I'm getting there.
It says what?
New state is not found.
Oh, then it's because you didn't import it at the top.
App.js.
Yeah. So yeah, if you have this at the top,
Okay.
I've given you too much.
So I'm gonna read all of those as totals.
Totos.
Toto list.
Totos equals totals.
Totos.
Same as room, Loovee, room.
So I would like you all to build this app without looking up how to build this app. You can look up, how do I do this in React? But don't go look up
To do that.
somebody building a to-do app on YouTube and watch them do it and build it with them.
And that would be two different.
I'm pretty sure that that would be really easy to find. So, and I think that happened on some front-end mentor projects as well. So, there's no cheating, but you will not learn if you just watch other people build it and then build it with them. So, try and build it on your own. If you run into issues, look up how to fix that specific issue, but not how to build the full app. Like I said, I would create a components folder and put these components in there. Whether you have an index.js or not is totally up to you. You just need to have some sort of manageable workspace. Whatever makes sense to you at this point is what you should do. Eventually you'll be on a team where you need to follow whatever the pattern is that's been set up. And then what I would like to do is over the weekend, everyone work on this. And then on Tuesday, we'll check in and see where everybody's at. And then it'll be like a work day where everybody's working on their to-do app and I will walk around and help. So an in-class work day as opposed to an at-home work day. And then I'd also like to, starting next Thursday, start with doing one-on-ones to go over, to do the code review stuffs.
Is this gonna be before class?
I might start it on Tuesday while everybody's working
16?
and just pull people out during class. Yes. So, yeah, I don't know how that would work if we showed up early where we aren't technically supposed to. If we were
You
trying
sit
to,
out there.
yeah,
Lobby, you know.
could do that. But
Also, we could meet up at like Starbucks.
for,
We could meet up at like Starbucks. Like, I don't know if that's gonna work. But like, we could meet up at like Starbucks. Like, I don't know if that's gonna work. But like,
Or Dark Horse. There's this Dark Horse place.
Yeah, that's by your house, right?
That's right by me.
So that would mean that we would have to drive past here.
Then come back.
Go to you, and then come back to class.
Oh, you mean like during class time or right
Yeah,
before class
right
time?
before class
That
time.
makes sense.
Which,
Yeah.
like, if we did that, I would carpool with you here.
There you
And
go.
then carpool with
Have
you
you
back
take
to
me back
Dark
to you.
Horse so that I could drive all the way home.
That sounds like a terrible drive.
Would be.
It'd be a lot of driving.
Yeah.
Not even coding a lot of-
We should not do that, especially since the road coming to my house gets pretty busy around the
Oh.
time right before here.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
it's the same road that comes here. You just keep going, and it gets worse. Because I always pass as everybody's going that way.
Um,
I'm interested to see how the construction is, though. So doing all that construction right outside of the tree tunnel.
Yep.
Oh,
Remember, what was that, 2000? Was that 2000?
They have it all closed
What was,
already.
what was that, 2019 that they shut down? I mean, they were working on Tree Tunnel forever.
Well, what
The-
did-
remember
yeah.
the tunnel part, that they were working on the side roads.
Yeah, I was here for that. That was in
Yeah.
2020.
Yeah, sure, not
Mhm.
2019? Okay.
No, it was terrible when I first moved here at the beginning of 2020.
Okay.
It was potholes and
Yeah. That's right.
Still?
they didn't do anything to it until the island opened back up, and
Yeah.
then they shut down the tree tunnel.
Yep.
Once
I
people
mean,
started
it
coming
looked
back,
really nice.
I mean, it
The
wasn't
side-
busy.
The sidewalk, I mean, the side,
Yeah.
really
it wasn't busy yet, but it was still like you could have done it when nobody was driving
Right.
anywhere.
Right.
So, but now they're
You know, they're same thing, COVID,
yeah.
gotta be around 6 feet, it's not something.
I mean, construction workers don't stand next to each other, and they're outside. So, but now they're doing something to the end because you can't turn left out of tree tunnel right now.
Yeah.
They have that all blocked off. You can turn onto it, and you can turn right out of it, but you can't turn left out of it.
This weekend, is it Saturday night into Sunday, I think they're shutting one of the lanes down.
I could see that.
It's been cold. Don't go next.
Yeah.
That we can say is video model, stay at home, save lives.
Okay. Any questions on the to-do app?
No, not at all.
If we delete things and then do npm start, like delete files and then do npm start.
Like these files, like the report web vitals. So if you delete this file, then you need to go into your index.js and delete the import of that file. Or else it'll probably tell you. So like if I delete it, you'll get an error, failed to compile, can't resolve report, and then it should tell you where it's being imported at. Yeah. See how it says this, can't find it in this source? It leaves off index.js because that's just implied that index is where that's at. Okay, so if I delete this, then I'll save it and I'll get another error that says report web vitals is not defined, and I can delete web with that down here. And then I also don't need this crazy big comment. Right? So now it should render again, and then if I delete setup tests, I think I'm okay to delete that and not have an issue. And then the rest should be fine. The logo you can delete as long as you get rid of it in app.js, which we already did.
And if it's in our source folder, we can just put import to do this from to do this, not components, right?
Yes. So
Change it to component.
So yeah, if you have it in components, then you can just do it into components. Otherwise, this just needs to be the path to the to-do list. So if that's it, if you do /, it'll pull up whatever is in that current folder, and you can pretty much just pick through whatever you're doing. So, but yeah, like I said, I would create a folder called components, and I would move these into that folder. And then
Yours is in source, right?
in here, it would be /components. components slash to-do list. If you create an index.js, then you don't have to do this, and you can have multiple components, but it doesn't matter. So the other thing you need in this is you're gonna need a form filled, right? Because you're gonna need somewhere you can type in a new to-do and hit add
Yeah.
to add it to the list. So there's 3 components that you really need: the form, the to-do list, which is gonna loop through, and then the to-do component, which is, I mean, you could build that inside your to-do list, or you can create a to-do component and then just render that inside the map.
You export it.
Oh, that might be the thing I'm missing.
What's happening?
So I think I missed when I changed this to, what do you call it? Automatic export or something?
Says to-do list imported as to-do list was not found in the to-do list components. So if you go to the index.js, you're only exporting to-do.
But I was having trouble with that app. List.
To-do list. And then this one right here has too many to-dos.
It's not running, I mean, right?
It's because it couldn't find that to-do list, so it's only gonna tell you one error at a time. To-do list was not found in component to-do list, possible export list. So go into your to-do list component, you're calling it list, you're exporting, or you're importing as to-do list. Change it to a named import, and so you need to go into your index.js. This index.js. And then put curly braces around app to make it named. So that only matters if you change your export on the app one. Let's see. So you're just saying to-do list was not found in the components. So in your index.js on there, are you exporting it? Yes. And then in your, well, you're exporting it from components. You're already in components. So you want to get rid of the components and just do // Okay. Down to, so what's in your to-do.js? So, yeah, so you would want to have just like a to-do component rather than another export here. If you go to to-do list, copy what's in here, and then paste it in there and just change it from to-do list to to-do. There you go. Okay?
So. Didn't keep up with all of that, so.
That's okay.
And, oh, well, I can read it.
Yeah. Go back to the video. I set it up like 4 different times, so just decide how you want to set it up. And then
I like that. We have options.
Yeah.
Thank
It really doesn't matter. The biggest thing is wherever you store the files is where the import should happen.
you. Okay.
Okay, so if I'm importing out of the components library or components folder from app.js, then I should have /components/ whatever the name of the component is. If it's in the same folder, it'd be whatever the name is.
Okay.
If I'm in to-do list and I need the to-do component, and they're both in the components folder, then to-do list is just gonna import straight to the to-do. It's
Okay.
not gonna do .components/, right? It's gonna go from where that current file is. So, also, VS Code has a lot of help that it'll give you when you're just using different components.
Yeah.
So use those things that we've used where you start to write the component and then hit tab and it will import it for you. So you don't have to think about it. Or do // and then see what it gives you in the context menu. Okay, cool. I expect a lot of questions in the engineering help
Yeah.
this weekend. Lots and lots of questions
How
as
do
you're setting this thing up.
I
So,
think I will.
and when you ask questions, if you have errors like we were just looking at, take screenshots and post them on your questions.
Why, you don't want us to copy and paste them?
I will read. I will read part.
So hard to read.
I
And
will-
then, yeah, if you're gonna share code, make sure you use the code formatters in Slack, which is super nice. Or you're welcome to push it to GitHub. But, yeah, I should see lots of help me unbroken this weekend.
I'm gonna enjoy that Monday stand-up there.
So I'll be working on my kids' closets